Hi, in this video we will try to use Power Query and do some transformations, and then we'll create a calendar table which has continuous dates, and then we will try to use the map visual and in a report page and create a new measure, and also finally we will create a tooltip page. Here is a dataset. We are using the same dataset, 311 service requests from city of Little Rock, Arkansas. As you can see, this is the data model, and we have three tables here, and this is the table view, and we have several columns. For example, we have created date column timestamp and also a closed date timestamp. So what we could do is we can just try to go into Power Query, and then we'll try to do some transformations, and we'll try to use these columns and to extract date, time, hour, etc. So once we click on transform data, we are in Power Query window. As we can see, we have that particular column. So by selecting the column and click on add column, we can extract all those points, right? We can extract the date, and let us try to do that date only. And you have a column date ready for you. And similarly, highlighting the column and the created date time. And again, we'll try to extract some more values from this column. We will try to extract year column, and we can extract the time, hour, etc. It's all depends on our requirement, right? So this is one way of creating the columns here and in the Power Query itself. That way we have those columns readily available. So in case if we don't need any columns, we can always go back and delete those columns which we have created earlier. So we have created year, hour column and date columns here. So let us try to go back. Already we have a year column. In the last video, we have created that in Power BI. So let us try to delete that column. So we don't want that. And also we will try to add month name. So let us try to create month name first. And since we already have year, we can go back and try to delete it. So we have created these columns: date, year, hour, month name, and time. So in case we don't want, like I said, we can remove that column. So we are happy with this, and home, close and apply, and those transformations are made in Power Query. We are back in Power BI desktop. We are in the table view, and those transformations which we made in Power Query are visible here. So let us try to look at the data. This is the data, and now that we have our fact table, sometimes in fact tables we don't have continuous dates. So to use time intelligence functions, DAX time intelligence functions, we need a calendar table. This is how you can create a calendar table. You can pause the video and look at the code. It's a pretty simple code, and I've added those columns, whatever necessary. We may or may not use all the columns whenever we are creating some more videos, but it's nice to have all these columns, right? This is how you could create a calendar table. Now in model view, I have created the relationship. If you click on properties, this is how the relationship is established between these two tables. And also the population, we have that relationship there. And also you can make any changes whatever you want in this data model itself. Now that we have done, we did some transformations in Power Query, and also we have created a calendar table. Now we can see what are the options we have to create a map visual. As shown, we have several options. So let us try to pick one. Prior to that, we can change the data category of certain columns what we have, like latitude, longitude, zip code, address, so that those are mapped appropriately in the data category. Will help you whenever you're creating a map visual. So those values are taken accordingly. So we have these several options, native visuals. So we will try to click on this particular map visual and try to pass the value. So directly you can pass the latitude and longitude. Let us try to drag latitude from here and also longitude. And in case if you want, we can add a bubble size also. We have the number of complaints, right? Remember, we have created that measure. So we can add that bubble size also. And you can zoom in to whatever area you want to hover over any data point. It will tell you how many complaints in latitude and longitude. Now that that part is done, let us try to kind of improve this report page. We can add a slicer, and we will add the year column to it, and we'll make it as a tile, and we make all the changes, right? Whatever formatting we want, we can do it. And whenever slicer selections are made, obviously the map visual also will change. So it depends on your needs. Whatever type of you have Azure map, we have different maps options available. You can use those maps, and I've made a little bit format changes for look and feel. And this is how you can create a map visual pretty quickly, right? Because we have longitude and latitude values in our data set. So now let us go back to the table view. This is the data, whatever columns which are available are shown here. As you can see, there are two columns here, created date and closed date. So if you want to find out the days between these two timestamps, you can do that. You can create a column right here itself, or better, you can create a measure outside of this option, because measures are easy for us to create, because we don't want already the data is 500 MB plus, so we want to create a measure now. So you want to calculate a days between opened, closed, rather that is a created and closed. So let us name that appropriately, is equal to, we will try to use calculate function, and we can use the date difference. Date difference expects a couple of dates, date 1 and date 2 and interval. So we have all those available for us. So for example, we have selected value and pass the created date here. And for the second date too, we can use the same option, select selected value and close date. So that will be the first two things. And for the interval, we will pass the date, day, right? You can, whatever, based on your needs, you can use anything. But in our case, we want to find out how many days between created and closed. So that is the date difference. And we want to look at a filter condition. So we have a column already, right? It has the status, right? Whether that particular complaint has been closed or not. We will try to scroll through all the columns here, and that way we can create a filter condition for this calculate function. So like I shown here, so we say, hey, if ticket status is equal to closed, if that is the condition, then give me and the days between opened and closed. It's a pretty simple measure. So we commit to it. We have that measure ready for us to be used in a report page. Let us try to rename this report page as days between opened and closed. Meaning if whenever the complaint was large, that is a created date. They created a timestamp there. So we have used a simple measure to find out the number of days. So let us try to add all the values here. Let us try to first create a slicer for the year. Let us try to go format in the same slicer value here. This is how you can use the format painter. So we have a slicer, which is the issue type here on this page. And also below, we will try to use maybe a table visual. And let us try to add, say here, the issue subcategory. And also we have created a measure, right? Days between, we can pass that. And prior to that, let us try to add those two columns, the created date and created date and also the close date. So let us try to drag that. Instead of hierarchy, let us remove that and we'll take on only the date value there. And similarly, pass another day timestamp here, that is the closed time. So let us try to remove the hierarchy. We have issue subcategory in this table, ticket created date, ticket closed date, and days between opened and closed. So if you click make selections on the slicer, you can see the number of days between those two dates. Remember, this is rounded off, the days between open, because if you see it has a timestamp, right? Those two columns, it might not be exactly 1 day, but it is rounded to the nearest zero, nearest value. So here are the values. So you can scroll down and see. And also I've added a tree map, so to make the report page pop out. So that way we have two visuals running here, and you have a slicer up top, and these are the values which have been passed to that tree map. And in the table visual, you can always look at the days between opened and closed, right? That is what we are interested in. That way, that will help the officials to see how soon they are able to close any kind of complaint. So you can sort that column, days between opened and closed, and click on any kind of issue type. Those days will be visible here. So it's a pretty nice way to look at the data, right? So that way we have an idea how soon we are able to get back and close that particular complaint. So you can go to the filters and use one and see if how many complaints were sorted in 1 day, how many complaints were sorted in 2 day greater than, or you can play around in the filter, and I'm making it as is equal to 1. In 1 day, these are the complaints which were closed. So this is the cool thing. So instead of scrolling down, because our data has about 963,000 values, so you can use filters and quickly look at the days between the opened and closed. And also, I thought I'll create a tooltip page. This is how you can create a tooltip page. And let us try to add map visual here. So quickly, let me add that. So let me just drag that and use any kind of whatever you need. That kind of a map visual you can add here, and kind of simple formatting. And this is the tooltip page. And in case if you want, you can remove the bubble size here or days between that way. And that is shown whenever the user hovers over the table visual. So let us go back to the table visual, select it, and go to format, click on properties, tooltips. Instead of the auto, try to point that to this particular page which we have just created, the tooltip page. That way, whenever you hover over any point, it will give you the address, right? Because we have latitude and longitude, we have used a map visual there. Let us try to rename this as map tooltip appropriately. So whenever user is making selections on the days between open and closed report page, and those values will change obviously. And whenever you are hover over any kind of data point in the table, the map visual is also shown. I think this is a cool way to look at the data. So we are using the same data from Little Rock, Arkansas 311 service requests, and we have created a couple of report pages today and in this video, and this is a nice way of looking at the data. And we have made some transformations, and we have learned some techniques along the way. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. As we create more videos, it will be helpful for you. Thanks.